What's up, everybody? Welcome to CFP Talks. My name is Joe Nissom. With me, as always, is the undeniable Mr. David Fuchs.
What's going on, Joe? How are you?
I'm doing great. David, you know what I love about this episode?
What?
Because it's basketball, baby. It's basketball.
Well, it's also football too.
It's basketball. It's
Yeah.
bad. It is basketball and or football. And today we are talking about our four quarters approach to taking the exam. So let me just introduce this, and I'm going to let David give some color to the structure that I'm going to outline here. We know that the CFP is a 170 question exam that is broken into two parts, one morning, one afternoon,
Yep.
of 85 questions each.
Yep.
However, we break this down further to make the exam more manageable and easier for
Yeah.
everybody to manage. And we call this our four quarters approach. And the nice thing about this is that as of recent, CFP has actually broken the exam into these four parts where you can no longer go back, but it actually makes this process significantly more manageable and
Yeah.
helps us outline the expectations of what each quarter is going to bring. So, those are our four quarters. So, those four quarters will be broken into either 42 or 43 questions. The odd quarters will be 43, the even quarters 42, and each half of the exam will add up to 85 questions. So
Yep.
that is our general structure for our four quarters.
Yep. Hmm.
Now,
That's
let's
the
start
general
off.
structure.
Let's start off with quarter one, David.
You
In
want.
okay, so now how do you kind of get yourself prepped for quarter one? What do you expect in quarter one?
So the four-quarter approach definitely makes it more manageable. I kind of just like did this. I mean, I'm sure other people do this too, but I kind of just like did this on the fly. And that's also why in the last episode when we were talking about, don't just do one mock exam 3 days before, you should start doing them like a month out. I started to evolve this strategy as I was taking more and more mocks leading up to the exam. So that's just another benefit of, doing the mocks and then starting them, as early as possible. What to expect in Q1 in the first quarter. I'll tell you what I experienced and what I usually experience. Usually you come out and again, it depends on how your exam is actually structured, but I came out and definitely got hit in the mouth very early on. Like I opened up, I clicked go, and the first three or four questions, I was like, I was definitely a little shook
Hmm.
because it's like you're just getting thrown out there. Um, you see one thing that maybe throws you off and everything gets a little thrown
Oh
off.
yeah. Yeah, especially in the first 10, if they come
Yeah.
out hot out the gate where they're just giving you difficult question after difficult question after difficult question,
Yeah.
it is it is a rough start and it
It's a rough,
feels rough.
yeah, and you're just sitting there with not like it's not like it's happening like halfway through where like, all right, I now answered a lot of questions that I knew the answer to. Like right away when the test starts, your first thought is, shit, this is so hard. I don't remember studying any of these questions. And is this what it's going to be like for the next 5 hours, 170 questions? And it's tough. It's tough. My advice is just know that that's going to happen. You're probably going to be pretty shook at multiple points in this exam, but especially when you first start, just get through, weather that storm, mark
Hmm.
those to come back, and as long as you should be fine.
Yeah. Yeah,
Um,
I will say, I think the first quarter is all about setting the tone for the exam,
totally.
right? Like right from the time that it says go, that it is likely that you're going to get some difficult questions. Also, your nerves are at the absolute highest they're likely to
Yep.
be.
Yep. It's a
Is
combination of both.
right. So, like, you're going to get a question, and your hope is that, oh, I hope that the first 10 are easy and then I can get into groove. Get that shit out of your head immediately. It's not going to happen.
Yeah, most likely. Most
Yeah.
likely. I mean,
Right.
it
And if
could.
you
Like
if
it
you
could.
do, great, amazing.
Great. Well, if you do, then great, but then just expect that at some point, like you are going to get punched in the mouth. Like this is
That's
not
right.
an exam that you're going to like coast through. I remember telling you before, like a day or two before, I was like, you're like, how you feeling? I'm like, I'm feeling pretty good. I'm relatively confident, but at the same time, like I know that there's going to be points. I mean, dude, it's 170 questions and it's basically 5 or 6 hours. Like it's not going to be a cakewalk. You're not going to be flying down on a rainbow. Like I told you this. I was like, listen, at some
You're not
point,
going to be flying down on a rainbow. Oh, I love that.
and like I knew at some point, like I knew at some point they exam, I was going to get hit in the mouth.
Yeah.
And I told you that. I said, listen, I'm ready, but I know I'm going to get hit in the mouth. And it's more about like just being prepared to get punched in the mouth and to be prepared to get over that and get off the mat and just keep working.
And if I were an exam writer, I would absolutely smack people right in the mouth immediately.
Yeah.
And for the reason that we want, if I want to know you're truly prepared for the exam and a couple of difficult questions rattle you, like if you can't answer RMD questions or do some difficult time value of money right off the bat, you're going to have a hard time with the exam, right?
Yeah. No,
It
for
is it
sure.
is your job not only to expect that, but to set the tone for yourself. Q1 is all about setting the tone for the rest of your exam day. You have
Mhm.
potentially anywhere, if you're taking the exam on the quicker side, you still have 4 hours ahead of you. If you're taking it on the slower side, you have 6 hours ahead of you. So your job is to weather, like David said, is to weather that storm and to go slower than you think you should go. Because your initial instinct is going to be to rush. It's going to be to skip those questions. It's going to be to mark them and come back, answer them. Because if you do run into a time issue, at least the questions are answered and you have a chance of getting them right.
Mhm.
Would not skip any questions. I would just weather the storm, take the punches, and just kind of Rocky Balboa it. Just take the punches, protect
Yeah.
your head, but stay on your feet.
Yeah, and then just also set the tone, like just in general. Like, all right, how am I going to answer these questions? What am I going to do when I don't understand? Am I going to mark them? Am I just going to guess and come back? Like, it's just kind of setting the overall tone on like, all
Right.
right, what's my attitude going to be? What's my pace going to be? What's my strategy going to be? Et cetera, et cetera. And again, like the reason that and then we talk about this breaking it up into 4 quarter strategy is because when you're looking at the exam, it's 170 questions. They, when you're on the first 10 or 20, like you're on question 18, 22, 31, and you're looking at it and you're like, damn, like I feel like I've answered, you know, a lot of questions, 30 questions. That could take you almost an hour on this
Mm.
exam.
Yeah.
And you're looking and you're like, shit, I only did like 20% of the exam so far. I
Mm.
still I still have 140 questions left.
Yeah.
But if you look at it where it's like, all right, I've done 32 questions and I just need to get to 42 or I need to get to 43 before I can kind of maybe take like a mental reset, go to the
Yes.
bathroom, wash your face, take a piss, like, and just like get your eyes off the screen for a little bit. It just makes it, as you said, more manageable to get through. 27 or 32 of 41 or of 42 is a lot less intense than 31 of 170.
Right. Like
So,
imagine if they ran a football clock down from 48,
well, a basketball clock for 48
right?
and a
Or
football
was
clock for 60.
it's 15-minute quarters in the NFL?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. All
And
right.
college.
Even worse, right? Like imagine the clock goes 60, 59, 59, 59, 58. Like
Right.
where would the sense of urgency come from or where would you mark it, right?
Yeah.
And I tend to feel that everybody would do it in the same way where they would go, okay,
Yeah.
the most
Yeah.
important part is getting from 60 to 45, then
Yeah.
45 to 30.
Yeah.
But
And
now,
maybe they'll break it into halves,
right.
but I think the more manageable thing is to breaking it in. Like soccer is 90 minutes and it's two halves. Like that's a long 45-minute half. And I think the quarter is definitely a more manageable thing and like makes it easier.
100%. So I
It, it,
think what you're saying is spot on. And I think by midway through the first quarter, somewhere between questions 20 and 30, you're going to start to feel the
yeah,
nerve
you'll settle
dissipate,
down. Yeah,
right? Your palms won't be sweaty.
yeah.
You won't feel that.
Hands aren't shaking.
Yeah, your hands aren't shaking. You ain't feeling that in your face and in your chest. Like
Yeah,
the nerves will start to settle, especially after you get a couple of familiar questions. And
yeah.
you go, okay, all right, I can do this.
Like, all
I
right, I
can do
got
this.
this. Like, I got through like the tougher part. I got through like the nerd. It's all, I mean, it is like if you know, if you look at watch a sporting event, you watch a basketball game, you watch a football game, how often in the first quarter are things like a little bit like crazy?
Yeah,
You know, like the offenses are out of control, the defenses can't stop anything, and you know, a team goes up 14 nothing in the first quarter early, or a team basketball team goes up 25 to 11 early in the game. And how often does that game settle down, and all of a sudden the game gets a little closer,
yeah,
and the team starts coming back, and
yeah.
they realize,
You see it happen all the time. It's like, you know, 3, 4 possessions, and now instead of being 25-11, it's 25-20.
right,
And you're
exactly.
like, okay, game is settled down. I'm good. Even if we mess up a little bit at the beginning, we're okay. We're going to settle down.
Yep, 100%, 100%.
Q2. This is where I think now you're in your groove. And, you know, it, David says it all the time with the middle eight. But, you know, the last 4 minutes of your second quarter and the first 4 minutes of your third quarter are going to really be the next big milestones for you. So, quarter one, I'm setting the tone. By quarter two, now I'm kind of starting to feel good. I'm in my
You're
zone.
playing. You're playing in
I'm
Q2.
playing. Now, those last 4 minutes of the quarter, which is, you know, I would say anywhere from question 70 to 85.
Yeah, that's what
It's,
I would
im-
say.
it's important how you close this out
Mhm.
because, and again, from a time perspective, remember your quarter is 90 minutes. So you need to get from question one to 43 in 90 minutes.
Yeah,
Okay. And most of us, we're not going to have that time issue. Some of us will have a timing issue, but for most of us, it isn't. Now,
yeah.
from 90, you know, the 91-minute mark to the 180 mark, the 3 hour mark, the hour and a half to the 3 hour mark, obviously the whole time it's important to, but a lot of times you're in your groove and you start kind of getting into that point where you're no longer thinking about the exam, you're executing the problem,
You're playing. Like I said, you're playing now. And you're
right?
playing, you're executing your strategy, you're going about your game plan. Like you're in the heart of it
That's right.
in Q2 and really Q3, in my opinion, too.
And you're in the zone, right?
Yeah.
Now, the last 15 questions are typically where you start to take your foot off the gas. I see 70 of 85. I start feeling like, okay, I don't have to push
I
as
got that.
hard,
And I got the break coming up.
right? The break is coming up. You know, the sense of urgency starts to come down a little bit. And I think this is the point where, you know, if you need to take a minute around question 70, you have to hold yourself to the highest form of your discipline that you possibly have in your body to be like, okay, like this is now where I'm going to turn it on if it's not already on, or I'm just staying in my zone,
Yeah.
right?
Right. Yeah.
More
Just you.
importantly, and that's where I really want you to be, is stay in your zone. Don't leave that. Don't start thinking about the exam. Don't think about the break. Don't think about halfway. Don't think about I'm hungry. I'm thirsty. I got to pee at my family. I got to call this person. I got, You stay in the zone. You don't let your head drift 1 inch. You stay in the zone. Once you click the button on 85, you're welcome to do any of those things.
Yeah,
Right.
no, it's true. I mean, like again, you're gonna know like I have 10 questions left till I get that like nice break in between. Um, and a lot, it's gonna be natural to like start guessing and start not concentrating, and you're also gonna be a little bit burnt out at that point. The main thing to like kind of stay intact on that is just stay focused and stay concentrated and just finish strong. And if you finish strong, You then have 40 minutes off if you want to go. You can eat, you can call your significant other or whoever you want to call, your best friend. You call Joe. Um,
Hey, Joe.
but hey Joe, what's up? But like just finish strong and then know like, all right, this is also gonna like set the tone like for the next half too. Because like if you
Yeah.
don't finish strong and like you kind of feel like, I didn't really put everything into that, you're gonna go into your break and be like, I really should have floored it heading into this.
Yeah.
But 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 yeah, just the main thing is just finish strong in that Q2. So you can really take advantage of that break and then really start strong in the third quarter as well.
Yes. Halftime. What are you doing?
Just chilling. Like I would bring like snacks and food and Gatorade and like because I can't not eat like for that long. So like I not only need to eat, I need to like refuel myself. So I'll have like a sandwich, I'd have a Gatorade, I would just chill. I wouldn't be on my phone as much because I don't want to be looking at a screen. So just like the main thing is do whatever you're gonna do that's gonna help you get recharged and refreshed. That could be
Yeah.
being on your phone and scrolling Instagram. Like if that works for you, then do it.
Yeah.
Um, but I would say, or if maybe you don't want to eat, maybe you do want to eat, like whatever it is, maybe you want to call somebody. Like I would say at halftime, take advantage of most of the time. I wouldn't go down to like the last minute because God forbid if there's a problem getting back into the testing center or whatever the thing is going to be, or there's an issue with your computer. Like I would probably say take like 25 to 30 minute off and take that break. And then the last like 10 minutes, start getting yourself back in and like really checking back into the
Yeah.
exam again.
Yeah, and I'm not a proponent of being on your phone at that time because
Yeah, neither am I.
you're gonna be tempted to look something up. You're gonna
Call
start to,
somebody and be like, oh my God, and then now you're freaked out because now you're talking to somebody and you're telling them how hard it is.
yeah,
And it's just like, I would agree. And also,
yeah,
like, your eyes are like going to be so strained from
yes,
like looking at the screen for 3 hours and then you're going to be on
yeah,
them again for another 3 hours. Like, why would you want to be looking at your phone?
exactly. And like you're gonna start texting, and you're gonna look up, and if your plan is to eat, and you just spend the last 10 minutes returning all 22 texts that you got that said good luck, good luck, good luck, good luck.
Yeah.
Now you look up and you don't have any time to eat, and now you're just exacerbating the anxiety. So, I'm a big proponent of just leave your phone in your car. Okay, you're not going to die without it, I promise. Leave it in the car. You can check it afterwards. You have the rest of the day to check, to get catch up on emails and texts. You have plenty of time in which you can do that. So there, it is not necessary to do. I'm a big proponent of, you know, grab something to eat, have a cup of coffee, and just sit and stare at a wall for all I care. I just
Yeah.
would just like use it as a time to completely calm your nerves and really get a break. And I agree with you. The 30-minute mark, get up and get back going in. So when your counter is at, 7 or 8 or 5, you're back in the room and you could sit there
Yeah.
and do nothing until the counter goes. But then, obviously get into the exam once
Yeah.
you're ready to go. And then Q3, I think, is the beginning of Q3 is the same attitude that we ended Q2 on. We want to continue, we
Mhm.
want to pick up where we left off.
Totally.
And again, those first 15 questions, expect that you're going to probably get slapped a little bit, but continue to set the tone for yourself
Yeah.
and get right back into the groove because you don't want to take 15 questions to get back. It is, I am picking up where I left off.
Yeah. And I think naturally, we said that Q1 early, like the first 10 questions are where I think you're probably most likely to get hit the mouth. I think like Q3 probably overall, in my opinion, was the toughest because I think that they probably make those questions a little bit harder at that point too. Because it's like, all right, now that you're kind of like right in the middle and you're kind of getting towards the end,
Yeah.
let's give you one last really hard push
Oh,
to
yeah.
see like, all right, do you actually deserve this? And also in the back of your mind, you're seeing 105, 112, 118, and you're like kind of like getting towards
Uh,
those like last part
Yeah,
of the
I
exam,
can see the light now.
but you're not quite there yet.
Yes.
You're not 10 questions away. You're not even 15, 20 questions away. You still have another, 40, 50, 55 questions. So I think Q3 is a little bit, not just do they make the questions harder, but I also think it's like mentally, you're jumping through loops mentally too, because you're like, I've already done half the exam and I feel like I'm close to the end, but I'm not. You're kind of in no man's land at that
Yes.
point.
Yeah,
And
it's the worst round of it's the worst quarter of it all, and the
yeah,
one where you're going to have to focus the most because you're 85 to 118,
yeah,
right? And you're going to you'll see that three-digit number pretty quick, right?
yeah.
But you're still pretty far away.
Yeah, you're really not at the light at the end of the tunnel at that point. So I think a lot of people have trouble in Q3. This is like where you're gonna really, really need to focus, and that is why like that break in between at halftime is so important, because like
Yeah.
you're gonna need to expend a lot of energy for this last half, especially in this third quarter of the exam. So you're gonna want to be charged up as much as possible.
Yep. And then, your only job is to focus on the next 43 questions. That's
Mhm.
it. You don't think about the end. You don't think about, I can't wait till this is over. It's like being in the middle of a workout, right? Like if, you have a 5 mile run, the worst mile is mile three.
Yeah, like right
Sucks,
in the
right?
middle.
Like mile one, I'm excited. I'm good. Ooh, 1 mile down, 2 miles down. And then that third mile is like, ugh, mile three. And four sucks. But mile
Mhm.
five is great because, like,
Right.
hey, so the only thing that you focus on is getting to the end of that third mile. That third mile ends. You're only concerned about getting to the end of that fourth mile. And
Yep.
then you worry about the fifth mile.
Hmm.
Here is the number one most important thing with Q4. Don't speed up, don't slow down. You got to keep your pace all the way because if you start speeding up, you're going to get sloppy. If you start slowing down, you're going to run out of time. So don't drag out Q4, but don't go, oh, I see it now. I want to start sprinting into the end. You have to maintain the discipline of keeping your pace. Whatever that pace is, now it's time to finish strong. And it's much easier because when I start seeing 131, 140, 142, 151, I'm like, oh, this feels great. Like I can feel like literally the load off my shoulders coming off. 161 and 170, you start pooping your pants a little bit because now you got to hit the submit button.
Yeah.
But you have to stay in that zone. And again, that's why the beginning of quarter three is so important because whatever tone you're setting at the beginning there, that's where we really want to be, is just stay in that rhythm.
Yeah.
And then once you get there, now, okay, Joe, I marked 20 questions for review. What do you do there, David?
I'll just go back and look at them.
That's right.
Like, I mean, I mark a lot of questions down to me. I marked almost all of them. Just to be like, all right, let me go back and check it. A lot of them I was like, okay, done, done, done. Because there's not, I knew most of them were right, or at least I thought. I was confident in the way that I answered it. But then there was definitely a handful where it's like, all right, I kind of guessed on this one, or
Mm.
I like, guesstimated on it, but I need to like confirm, like, all right, is this the answer that I want to submit? Sometimes
Yeah.
I did, sometimes I didn't.
I
That's
think
what,
you go back and you review it, but you only change the answer if you're absolutely certain.
yeah, 100%.
I mean, and
Absolutely.
I don't mean like, and oh, I'm 8 out of 10. No, you need to be 10 out of 10
Yeah,
sure
right,
that I misread it. I didn't see an accept.
right.
I screwed up the calculation and I didn't do the inflation adjusted return or something to that extent. I put in the wrong N. I put in the wrong something to that extent where there's clearly something missing and it's absolutely crystal clear to you that you've gotten it wrong. Then go ahead and change your answer.
Yep. Hmm.
And then you hit the submit button and now all your work culminates into hopefully into that pass.
So there you go.
And that's the four quarters approach and how you kind of get through each of those quarters and why, you know, why we do it. And the nice thing is that this all fits together. So this is not a I choose one quarter. This is not a strategy where you get to pick one or the other. Execute it in its totality. If you're going to use it,
Yep.
use it. If you're not going to use it, don't use it. No harm, no foul. But because everything predicates itself on what you do in the previous step, it's important that you execute it as a whole and not just pick and choose the parts that you want.
Yep.
So, with that being said, everybody, we hope you enjoyed this episode. As always, with questions, comments, or concerns, feel free to reach out to David or myself. Please make sure that you like this video and subscribe to the channel, and we will see you guys on our next episode. Take care, everybody.